Hiya Sandeep, lovely to meet yourself and your family members the other day up at the range and begin doing some work on your swing. Going forward, there are aspects of your downswing, through swing, etc. that I feel we need to discuss. It'd be interesting to see how they change and progress as your weeks of practice go on as well, because as you know, when you change one thing, something else tends to change. As I said at the end of your session, if you do have any questions, you do want to discuss something, please don't stand on ceremony. Please feel free to contact me. You've got my email address both on this recap and the business card. You've got my mobile number there. As I say with any of my plays, it's sort of a support mechanism. Feel free to get in touch if you're at a tournament, at home or whatever. If you see anything online that you're a little bit sort of unfamiliar with or unsure about, it's important that you ask the right questions. In regards to the swing itself, obviously a lot of it was based on what we were seeing from down the line and just tidying up the backswing. Initially at the start of your session, we were seeing a player whose club and hands elevated onto that elbow plane line a little bit too soon. We've got two planes working. We've got the shoulders working on quite a level plane and the arms working on quite an upright plane. As a result, at the top of the backswing, we got a little bit disconnected, a little bit long, and then we had that attempt to drop the club back onto plane, and that's that feeling where you lose the club head that we discussed. You know, very uncomfortable feeling, particularly when you're swinging with driver. Very difficult when the wind's coming off the left quite hard, etc. So we want to try and reduce and get rid of ultimately that move at the top. We have a delivery position where the club is too much underneath the plane line and the leading edge of the club is a little bit too open to the arc, so we're inside and open, and as a result we're relying heavily on our God-given talent to rotate hard at the bottom, flatten out the wrists, straighten out the right arm, etc. But that does cause us, as we see here, to hit out at the ball a little bit excessively in the through swings. So what we'd want to see is a little bit more like we see here with Charlie Wee, where the hands are working up the hand plane line for longer. There's more inward, a little bit controlling the amount of upward we have, with the club, the butt of the club arriving more on the plane line, and more importantly the arms staying attached to the torso at that point. So we're trying to tidy up P4, and ultimately we started off by just asking you to swing to a point that was behind the right shoulder rather than above the right shoulder. So we play this back. The top of the backswing here is very much what we would class as above the right shoulder. What we're going to see here now is one of your earlier swings anyway, maybe 15 minutes in. You can see straight away the hand plane there, much better on the way back. More inward, tracing the plane line beautifully, before then elevating into a much tidier P3 position where the hands are hitting the base of the right bicep, allowing you to arrive in a much more on-plane position, requiring less of a flail. That flail's still in there, if you will, because it's going to be. You've had years of sort of having to do that to prevent hitting a pull or a cut. So still going to be in there. We'll condition you to get that out your system as the sessions go on. You can see now that there's no need to lower the hands onto that plane line. We're already there, and as a result, when we're coming into impact now at P6, we're getting some slight changes. Just play that back one, in regards to where the golf club is and how it relates to the arc of your swing. So here we're underneath and open, and here we're more on plane and starting to square up. It's not going to square up as we would like it until we start tidying up that first move as you start down. But I think that could change pretty quickly once you get hitting balls on a range with a P4 that's deeper, a little bit more laid off, and where we control the length of the arm swing, which we'll come to next. So much better swing on the way back, as we said, dropping under, opening up, relying on everything opening up excessively, hitting out at the ball a little bit too much, whereas now we're coming in a little bit more on the plane, requiring a little bit less of a turn through and a flip at the bottom, and as a result the arms are staying on the rib cage for longer, and you can see there that the club, rather than getting above the plane line, actually stays on the plane line, so hitting out at it less, which is always nice as well. In regards to the driver, what we're seeing and what we discussed is you have to do things longer or more with the driver. So what we see here is the club getting deeper, which is brilliant, but getting long. So we've got to control the length of the swing with driver. Now the key thought here was half swing drivers, and this was a fantastic position at the top. Following the hand plane, elevating onto elbow plane, and arriving in a much more controlled position at the top. I mean, that's right on the money there. Absolutely love that. There's a few little changes I'd make as we go, but overall, in the context of what we discussed during your session, absolutely superb. What we've got to learn to do now is learn what we need to do. What sequence of moves do we need from that top of the backswing position, rather than this top of the backswing position we see on the top right, which is more on plane than where we were at the start of your session. So you can see a massive change there during the course of this session. You've gone from being very much above the right shoulder, disconnected, long across the line, to more behind the right shoulder, on plane and a little bit long, to ultimately where we'd like to see you, which is where we see Charlie Way in the top centre, which is behind the right shoulder, on plane, compact, connected, and just a touch laid off at the top. So much better in relation to the shot pattern you were getting. It's a little bit underneath, and like I say, that's where hitting shots with the pull drill that we gave you, just to help shift the plane line to the left a fraction, or line things up. I don't really want the plane line shifting left ultimately, as Ramo would testify, but I certainly don't want it moved as far right as we can get it on occasion. So the movement we're working towards, Sandeep, is what we see there. I'll get that up on the big screen for you. This is a sort of image that at this stage of proceedings you cannot see enough of. So we're going to get the hands tracing the lower red line initially from P1 to P2. From maybe P2.5, the hands should then start to elevate onto the elbow plane line, the higher red line. And we've got to control the length of the goal swing. Beautiful position at the top. Charlie Wee, Hunter Mayan, take your pick. Great swing, great position. I think you're going to have fun progressing with the system, with the pattern that we use. Be interesting to see your developments over the next 2 or 3 weeks when you're over on the Alps tour. But as I said, if you do get any questions, if there's anything, any ideas you want to bounce off me, any feels that you get that are unusual, feel free to get in touch. Good luck with it, and look forward to working with you on your return. Well done.